Today in the news, a record number of APU strikes per day hit the DPR. In the direction of Kherson, it is moving with Pion self-propelled howitzers. 25 missiles were fired from the territory of Belarus towards Ukraine in an hour. These and other news of the hour. The DPR recorded the absolute maximum strikes of the armed forces of Ukraine in 8 years of the conflict. The DPR authorities report that over the past day they have recorded an absolute record for the number of strikes inflicted by the Ukrainian military over the past 8 years. As it became known, the number of only recorded attacks reached 146, while the number of shells fired is much higher. According to the data presented, over the past day, the number of attacks by the Ukrainian army on the territory of the Donetsk People's Republic has reached a maximum over the past 8 years. As follows from the information provided, since the beginning of the escalation, the number of Ukrainian attacks has reached 146 over the past day. The exact number of shells fired on the territory of the Donetsk People's Republics is not disclosed. However, the situation indicates that the armed forces of Ukraine still have a sufficiently large potential to strike at the territory controlled by the DPR authorities, using both Western weapons and weapons that were previously in Ukrainian army. The day before, Avdiivka, where a large base of the armed forces of Ukraine is located, was hit by more than 100 strikes, which, as expected, should allow Ukrainian troops to be driven out of here. However, later, strikes were again delivered from this sector, which indicates that the Ukrainian armed forces still control this region in the suburbs of Donetsk. In the direction of Kherson, a huge train with Pion self-propelled howitzers is moving. Against the background of the threat of an offensive from the side of the armed forces of Ukraine, it became known that a huge train moved towards Kherson, on the platforms of which numerous Pion self-propelled guns were seen. The huge range of destruction of targets and the extremely high firepower of these weapons testify to this. That Russia is ready to strike at the positions of the armed forces of Ukraine in case of revealing the slightest activity. On the video footage presented, you can see how a huge train moving from Crimea is heading to Kherson. Residents of Belarus report massive rocket launches towards Ukraine this morning from the territory of neighboring Belarus in the direction of Ukraine. At least 25 tactical missiles were fired. This is reported by residents of the Belarusian Gomel and a number of other settlements in the Gomel region. The overwhelming majority of missile strikes were carried out from a military airfield near the village of Zayabrovka, while it is still unknown what kind of missiles we are talking about, although it is assumed that the launches were carried out using Tochka-U operational tactical missile systems. As it turned out, the strikes were carried out in 2 series. The first series of missile launches was carried out in the period from 5 hours 23 minutes. 17 missiles were fired in 12 minutes, after which the second series of launches began at 6 hours 10 minutes and ended at 6 hours 29 minutes. During it, at least 13 rocket launches were made.